know how it works.
The palais is right up ahead. Come on.
Halt! Please state your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied with official matters.
This place does look...
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't care who...
See? They've got great discipline, too.
Yep. Paimon can tell.
If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit. Unlike some...
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few days ago?
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You must be Linny's attorneys. It's all coming back to me now.
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up case.
Huh. Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't...
All right then, I'll let you through. The Chief Justice is just inside.
Thanks so much.
Please come in.
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur Nervalet. We only lied to get in because we didn't know any other way.
It's all right. Please let me know how I may be of assistance to you.
So you're not...
We're looking for a man called Vacher. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can find him, we may be able to unearth some key information on the case.
Ah, I see. In that case, please wait here a moment while I browse through the files.
Who knew that Nervalet would be so easy to talk to?
Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vacher has been involved in any case, criminal or civil, in the past several years. There are no records of him either in the files or in my memory.
Traveler, what if it was really just a dream?
Is that so? All right, then. Thank you so much, Monsieur Neuvillette. We'll take our leave now.
Miss Navia, I can understand how you feel. Your father, Callus, was a truly exceptional man. We deeply regret his passing.
And what are you trying to say? Are you trying to console me? Extend your sympathy? Or just express some tendril of regret? No. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no emotion behind your words. You only said those things because you felt like you should. It's just like last time. After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to talk to you. You even told me then that you thought there, in your eyes, the value of if you truly regret my father's death. Then why didn't you call a stop to the duel? Why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life away? Why did you just let him die, despised and hated by all? Everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. Just the tiniest effort could have changed everything. There are still so many things I never got to tell him. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes. I, Navia, will show you the true meaning of regret.
I'm sorry, Miss Navia.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your heart and never say a word to anyone. It's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never express anything. Oh well. In any case, everyone
Navia, are you okay?
I'm fine. Rain. It's raining.
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there shouldn't be any active trials today. How strange.
Now that I think of it, on the day my father was convicted of murder, it was also raining.
What is it? Did you think of something?
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. Why? Do you think the rain could have affected the crime scene? That thought has occurred to us before. We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value. Oh? Wait. You don't mean...
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water and then got washed away with the rain? Yeah, and if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if he explained what he saw to the authorities.
I really think I found a true genius for a partner. You're completely right. How did I not connect the dots earlier? All right, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind, we'll get to the bottom of my father's case for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna make progress for sure this time.
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over by yourself later? Great. Let's go then.
Propagate!
It's important to inspect your diving equipment regularly.
Scatter! Scatter!
Intel is just like futures. You gotta invest a lot before you can start earning.
Whoa! What a huge ship! Why would a ship be anchored at a place like this?
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like my father was the one who asked for it to be built like this, a gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
And Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula had a glorious past. Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in the sewers. But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself, she's been convinced.
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began, after all. It's our main base, our home.
Intel is just like futures. You gotta invest a lot before you can start earning.
we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important partners. You said before that you still had some business at the
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You see, what if my father's case had something to do with... You still remember, right, Malus? On that night...
Yes, the case was quite similar to that.
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, at a glance...
Wait!
Yes, he did. If you drink synth for... And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety, while As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse, and called for a complete ban of it.
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the sin. Not only that...
Yes, but recognizing that, the man's name was Jacques. That night, But then...
Huh? How did that happen?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither appeared to have any motive at all. Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing left at the scene. Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes that Jacques used to disguise himself at the banquet. But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one... You're right. We still don't know what happened.
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. I think this third person is probably the key to the full truth. On that note, however, even though this will not please you, demoiselle, as your and your father's butler, I must still offer a word of warning. Our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and Boss has already lost his life trying to bring them to justice. Even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of peace, and we have been allowed to live out our lives. There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and in line with Boss's wishes to...
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have told me that himself. Was I not the closest person to him? What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his... Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as meaninglessly? I've never accepted that. Ever. Not since that day, and I want to find out the real answer for
Sylvia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and more importantly, demoiselle, I think you're also ready to take this on.
So you do know something else, Malus?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the serial disappearances case. But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to disappear.
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he had been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctors told him that he had no more than 5 years left to live. And the serial disappearance, 5 years, knowing all of this. But as long if something were to...
Right.
As we've seen, Boss...
No, I don't believe it. He never...
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the
So he chose to die in silence.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, demoiselle. What Boss wanted to hand to you was not a parasol, but a sword. If Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find the answer for the sake of everyone involved, I'm sure he'd be extremely proud.
That fool. Couldn't he have just given it to me straight? No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never thought I'd be able to understand him. Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where Yeah. I suppose that's... But thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case... Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where synth is produced. Essentially, it's when he was threatening the enemy, boss didn't. But if you want to use it...
Why? If we know where the place...
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous... There's no telling what might be lying in wait. But a single... The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed.
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine authorities?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how thoroughly they may have been infiltrated.
Huh. That's true. Seems my father really had no choice. But things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove the other side's guilt, now that we've connected Synth with the disappearances case.
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to serve the boss and Demoiselle's will. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping secrets, performing basic
Thank you for all of that, Malus.
Let me think. One conclusion, when I announced orders to the organization, if the vendors didn't change their plans, then after several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed the suspect list down to... The first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's senior advisor.
Huh? Florent?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means that he was someone who understood Boss really well. Thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could thus avoid capture this whole time. There's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Poisson. Boss helped it to grow to its current size and prominence. In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around, with a lot of business connections in the city.
So, they're like a sister organization of Spina di Rosula?
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth dealers, they provided us with plenty of support. It's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money to hunt down themselves.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to the local authorities. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically always plan one step ahead.
I see. These are all people who I communicate with quite regularly. To think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust the most. It's almost too hard to believe.
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience, the enemy is extremely cautious.
Of course. And thank you, Malus. You've provided us with a lot of great information.
You're too kind, my lady. I'm just doing my duty. And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him of blame in Jacques' death. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. They still live in Poisson today. If it might help, you could also pay them a visit. I can make the necessary arrangements.
Aw, thank you so much, Melu.
A new case awaits, my dear partner. I hope we can work together to uncover the truth.
It is settled, then. Please excuse me, and enjoy your conversation at your leisure.
Thank you for arranging everything for us, Malus.
Excuse me, miss. Do you need...
Oh,
Hey, Navia's all quiet. This isn't like her at all.
I'm sorry that I only came to visit after all this time. After what happened, I didn't know how I was supposed to face the two of you.
Ah, if it's about that, there's no need to apologize. After my husband died, Spina di Rosula sent us a lot of mora and support. I understood your guilt and apology to be genuine.
But aren't all of those things nothing compared to the loss of Jacques? I can understand the kind of pain that comes with losing a father so needlessly.
You don't understand at all.
I didn't know how to face you, because I didn't know what I could possibly bring. I know only the full truth could bring closure to you.
I'm sorry. I appreciate the sentiment, but on the matter regarding my husband, my daughter and I have more or less found our answer already.
Would you mind sharing it with me? I really can't believe that my father could ever bring himself to shoot Jacques.
I always knew that my husband's money was earned through others' suffering. He told me countless times that if he could turn back the clock, he would never go into the synth business again. He had many regrets, and felt that he took the idea of providing for his family too literally. For the longest time, he thought Mora was everything. So when Mr. Callis came to him with a proposal, he accepted it almost immediately. He tried to be as careful as he could, but even so, he was still found out by the higher-ups.
They found out about his betrayal?
Papa didn't say that exactly, but Papa did tell me that I should never be ungrateful.
Before he left that day, he told me that he had no choice. It was only later that I realized it was his final farewell. I don't know that for sure, but you could say that's the conclusion I eventually came to. Which is why I'm the one who should feel guilty. Callis had always taken great care of us, both when he was still alive and after he passed away. Even if he fired the shot that killed my husband, it was likely in self-defense. It is impossible for me to hate him for what he had done.
But Mama, why is Papa still the bad guy? Papa always wanted to be a good man, so why did he have to do a...
Well, things aren't always as they seem. You still feel like your papa was a good man, right?
Yeah, Papa was a really...
Then you should hold on to that. If a good man had to do a bad thing, regardless of whether he left you a parasol or a sword, he must have done so to give you...
Oh.
Thank you for everything you've told.
Thank you. I'm very grateful. Even though your personality is quite different from your father's, your determination when you speak is really similar.
You really think so? That's the first time anyone said that to me.
Are you okay, Navia?
I'm fine. Don't worry. Let's investigate the 3 suspects next. Florence should be nearby, and we should be able to find Thierry and Uncle Marcel in the city. I'll get myself together on the way.
Greetings, boss. How may I be of assistance today?
I'm sure you've heard about what happened at the Opera House. Someone got turned...
Yeah, I've heard. With something that dramatic?
It also reminded me, on the day that the incident happened with my father, it was raining outside, and we found some clothes left at the scene. After my partner here put the dots together for me, can you do me a favor and try to recall what happened?
Let me think. Mr. Callis was feeling pretty upbeat that day, so he was drinking and bantering away with us at the table. After that, he told us that he wanted to go get some fresh air, so we let him go without thinking much of it. Who knew that we would hear 2 gunshots ring out right after? My first reaction was that Mr. Callus's life was in danger. So I grabbed my holster and made a mad dash toward the scene. But when I got there, it was already too late. Mr. Callus was standing over a dead body with a gun in his hands. All we could do was look back and forth at each other, not knowing what to say.
So you also remember 2 gunshots then?
Indeed. The guard said that the first shot didn't hit anyone, while the second killed Jacques. But I've never really bought that explanation. Reason being, Mr. Callus had left his gun on the table. I even made sure to confirm that before running to the scene. But according to the guards, that doesn't mean he... About the clothes left at the scene that you mentioned. Do you think there was a third...
At least from our perspective, the gun he was holding?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're saying Mr. had to prove his honor in a duel? Did he lose all faith in the courts after...
About that, Malus told me a thing or two. So, I think I can understand why he can... I'll tell you everything, once the whole truth has been revealed.
I understand. Then, I'll leave Mr. Callus's honor in your hands, boss. And if I may just say one more thing. The whole Callus the Unfaithful epithet has been a thorn in my side since the day it was invented. Many people have laughed at me for still calling him Mr. Callus, even after so many years have passed. But it was Mr. Callus's trust that allowed me to rise through the ranks of Spina di Rosula and live the life I lead today. No matter what others might say, he'll always be the man I...
Don't worry. I will... You and all our other comrades at the Spina deserve to know the truth as... Thierry, it's me.
Oh, now, what brings you here, Miss Navia? I've heard that you made quite the name for yourself at the Opera House.
Oh, so you've got news of that already.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm also a member of the Guards, you know.
Are you sure there isn't a little bit of truth in that? Under normal circumstances, shouldn't you have been called back to the city already?
I mean, Callus did a fantastic job running the town, building Spina di Rosula from the ground up and clearing many obstructions in my way. It would be next to impossible for me to find a similarly easy but high-paying job. Anyway, enough chit-chat. Are these 2 friends of yours? You, here for some formal business?
Yes. These 2 are my partners. What happened at the Opera House made us realize that Linny's case and my father's may be related. We're trying to... Next.
Of course. Without them, I couldn't possibly handle Poisson on my own. Why do you ask? We definitely can't use them to forcefully get more evidence for your father's case.
Well, you see, just recently, we were attacked by a... So, if you hypothetically wanted to do something against me, all you would need to do is get rid of the mecha serial numbers and send them after me.
Then you think too highly of my abilities. Dispatching mecha is very different from controlling them. If I had to make an analogy, when you order a dish, the chef will make it for you. You can ask the chef to cook, but not to massage your shoulders or carry your baggage. If you try to make unreasonable demands, removing a serial number is also not as easy as you might think. There are a lot of complex steps to it, and it's almost impossible to keep it a secret. So I can promise you, those mecha were definitely private units. They're certainly not cheap. So, whoever their owner is must be super...
Oh, then you're officially in the clear, Thierry.
Oh, well, thank you. Jokes aside, I'll be staying in the city for a little while, so just come find me if you need any support from the guards.
Hello. How may I help you?
I'm here to see Marcel. Could you please let him know? You can just say...
Sure. I will let him know.
Navia, hello. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm not as young as I used to be.
Oh, it's all right, Uncle Marcel. I just wanted to talk to you...
Yes, I've never seen anything so...
Oh, you...
That's right. I went there with Navia to... see the magic show. I also witnessed your marvelous... to beat the Hydro Archon at her own game on her own turf. I can already... your exploits over a few glasses of wine.
Oh, Paimon doesn't want to be...
Apologies. It's just how Fontaine is.
Uncle Marcel...
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, and...
We were attacked on Araneus by some unnumbered Gardamex. And there was also an attempt to get me to drink water from the primordial sea. If not for the vigilance of my partner, I probably wouldn't even be here talking to you right now.
Oh, you're giving us too much credit.
Alas, it seems things are heating up again. The peace that Callus sought so dearly will soon become a thing of the past. But rest assured, Navia, Poisson will always remain a safe haven for you. If you're scared, you can always return there. If anyone dares to lay their hands on you there, the Confrérie of Cabrières will use its funds to the...
Thank you, Uncle Marcel. But do you have any new thoughts on my father's case?
About that. Sorry, my age is catching up with me, so it'll take me a while to recall my memory. The Confrérie was responsible for that banquet, so I was out and about the whole time making sure things were running smoothly. I didn't even... Then I heard the sound of a gunshot, and the rest was history.
Oh, it's okay. No need to push yourself.
Sounds good. Just let me know if you ever need Mora. All my wealth comes from Callus's patronage and support.
We've talked to all three suspects, purely based...
None of them sounded particularly suspicious.
I suppose that's to be expected, though. Anyway, even though we didn't make a breakthrough, let's still compile.
But where should we start? Ah, you're right! Flora mentioned that Callus probably only ended up with the gun because of circumstance.
According to Jacques' family members, he already told them that he had been discovered, and that he had no choice before he left home that day. If I had to guess...
So, Jacques fired the first shot?
Oh? And why is that?
Ooh, that's a good point. Jacques probably already knew that he was just being...
So, what would make more sense from his perspective? Makes sense. Besides Jacques, the attack from the Gardamex has been bothering... It's obvious that our enemy has become...
Do you think he knew, even then, that we'd follow this lead to the end?
Given everything that's happened since, it's quite possible. But who among the three suspects would have the ability to control privately owned Gardamex? Uncle Marcel? My father did really trust him, and with funds from the Confrérie, he could also afford a large number. It's still really hard for me to imagine, though. Also, wouldn't this mean he has been spending a whole lot of mora and energy to fight his own synth business? Florent? It is true, but as Spina di Rosula's advice...
So you're saying he's too
Exactly. He can't. And even if he could, I don't think he would be able to dispatch a whole group so quickly. Thierry, you say? But I didn't feel like he was lying when he was talking to us about the mecha. I also don't think he'd be able to keep that kind of tampering.
Yeah. If the mecha were taken from the guards...
Who could it be? You know, if you think everything through...
Could we be missing other suspects? Malus didn't know about the people turning into water thing.
Malus has always been very reliable, and it's just the suspect is knowledgeable about the... Even if I don't want to believe it, I'm starting to see how things could all tie back to Uncle Marcel.
Well, we still have another trump card on top of all the theorizing and speculating.
Yes. We need far more salt.
Navia, here you are. Oh, I've been...
Huh? Aren't you the...
Yeah. News came from Irenaeus just after you left.
Wasn't that place built specifically for holding trials?
I know. But they said the person they're putting on trial is a Fatui harbinger called Tart...
What? Is that...
Yeah, we know him.
Well, he's been accused of being the true culprit behind the serial...
Wait, how? None of our investigation...
That's what I thought was strange about it, so I came to tell... If the charge against him stands, then it'll be next to impossible to get the...
Right, because they'll think they've already found...
Yeah.
I understand. Huh? Split up? What do you mean? Just as since this is a trial about the serial... You're right. This is our best... I won't have any chance of making that charge stick, though, unless we find more evidence. It'll be...
We'll help you!
Demoiselle, please allow us to accompany.
I'm ready.
Ah, Malou, Silver. When did you...
We heard that you'll be leaving Poisson and figured that you might require our assistance. It's our hope that your...
Thank...
See you then! Now that Navia has set out for Aranias, we should also get going. The location has already been marked on the map, so let's head over. According to Malusa's info, the synth production base is underwater. Let's go and try to find the entrance. Finally found it! Huh. So this is the entrance that leads to the synth... Ah, you're right. Navia's probably arguing up a storm...
It would appear that I must repeat my question again. Do you accept the charge that you are the true culprit?
To be perfectly honest, I don't understand your country's complicated court system, or the reason why... However, I did hear that people who have been charged can choose to participate in a duel to clear their name. In which case, as long as I accept the charge, I can have an all-out fight with that I've got to admit, that's one of the most enticing... When I privately sparred with her last time, she was obviously holding back. Real disappointing.
Hey! Don't you understand? You...
Oh? Sounds like the Hydro Archon wants to lecture me on the ways of the op. Then why don't you duel me too?
No. That's not what I meant.
Alas, it would appear that communication with the defendant is going poorly. In that case, let me...
That case had nothing to do with him! Huh? What's going on?
Why is she...
I told you it couldn't be one of the Fatui Harbin...
Miss Navia, this is the second time you've interrupted the court, but that was an exception rather than standard court protocol. I can very well charge you with contempt of court.
Oh, please. Did you ever think I had any... We can put that discussion aside for now. And if my charges prove true, then Tartaglia here...
Oh, a young lady has charged in and offered to clear my name. How fascinating. Well, I'd gotten half bored to death by all these rules and procedures anyway. So, Your Honor, is there nothing else for...
You may take a seat for now in the audience, but that doesn't mean the suspicions against you have been lifted. Now then, Miss Navia, who...
That person is... Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières!
Huh? What confrérie? Never heard of them in—
I've heard of them, but weren't they Spina di Rosula's sister organization?
Oh, is this going to be a friends to enemies type situation?
Please let me remind you, Miss Navia, that charging... And if the charge fails...
Yes.
In that case, I declare the charge to be valid. Members of the guards. Mr. Marcel, you will not require...
Apologies. It all just happened so... I think an attorney won't be necessary. This is probably just a...
Very well. In that case, since both sides have...
I would like to take everyone back to 3 years ago, to the case of Callus the Unfaithful. Only through elucidating what really happened in that case can we connect all the dots for the serial disappearances case.
Navia, do you really think that I was... Come on, why would I do that? Callus was my benefactor. If that's enough to make me a suspect, wouldn't that make it...
I think there's no point in getting into the specifics right now.
Exactly correct, Your Honor.
I see. In which case, I will recount the findings about that case as originally recorded by Maison Gardiennage. On the day of the murder, Spina di Rosula hosted a large banquet in a countryside estate owned by the Confrérie of Cabrières. During the banquet, all attending guests heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. When the guests arrived at the scene, they found the primary suspect, Callus, holding a gun, while his acquaintance, Jacques, lay dead from a gunshot wound. The guards' investigation did not recover any other firearms from the scene. As a result, they concluded that the suspect's first shot must have missed, while the second must have taken Jacques' life. The suspect did not dispute this conclusion, and also declined to defend himself in court. Instead, he chose to prove his... Callus was defeated by champion duelist Clarence. These are the known facts.
The one with the motive to kill was Jacques. In truth, the third person. After that, the... Thank you. However, we should read... Something's not right. The testimony of the victim... However, unfortunately for Jacques, the true culprit had already considered this possibility, and had said... This assassin first shot Jacques, then turned to shoot Callus, only for Callus to wrestle the gun from him and kill him instead. A pile of clothing was found at the scene. The guards once believed they were used by Jacques as a costume to disguise himself, but now it is clear that the clothes were proof that there was a third, since it was raining. Realizing this, the true culprit caused the hired assassin to dissolve into water, leading everyone to believe Callus was responsible for Jacques' murder. This is the true version of...
So that's what happened. Wait, you're telling me something as dangerous as water from the primordials?
What a great theory. It also explains Callus...
Mr. Marcel, you are the one being charged with the crime.
Ah, but I think I agree with everything Navia just said.
Then, may I ask some question? 1. Do you have the evidence?
I'm afraid.
Boo! If you don't have any...
I may not have the evidence with me, but I know where I could go to collect it. If we look up the deserted clothes against a record of people who went missing around the same time, we should be able to find a map. Considering the serial disappearances case, the guards probably kept careful records of all missing persons from around that time, regardless of age or gender.
That makes sense to me. Monsieur Neuvillette, I would consider this to...
Why do I feel like Farina's...
Maybe she's scared of embarrassing herself again?
Alternatively, she's become more diligent.
My second question has to do with the ensuing duel. Then why didn't Mr. Callis explain himself in court? If he had testified that a person had been dissolved...
I've thought about this too, and the answer is actually pretty simple. He felt there were things that were more important to him. The dissolving power of water from the primordial sea is an important secret for the true culprit of the serial disappearances case. My father could have exposed it for all to see, but he chose to take it to the grave. At that time, Spina di Rosula was in dire straits, and his reputation had already been shattered. He had no guarantee that going forward with the truth would allow the culprit to be brought to justice. What was certain, however, was that it would paint a gigantic target on my...
Boss once told me that Demoiselle had already been selected as the next target of the serial disappearances.
What?
If the secret had gotten out, the culprit would have fought an all-out war with Espina right there and then. I wouldn't have been the only one in danger. All of us would have stood to lose our lives. Of course, the guards might eventually figure out the truth of the matter and determine that we... But what good would that do? How had this opera house ever given my father any kind of confidence in its brand of justice? Spina di Rosula would have had no reason to exist. But by staying silent, we retain the ability to deter our opponents and continue the stalemate. I was able to become Spina di Rosula's president, which made me harder to target, and once I have figured out the truth and stepped up to the challenge, I will do...
So, you mean to say... Your father intended to die?
That's right.
Do you have any proof?
Of course. All you need is... I don't need your apology, your guilt, or your support from the... But since he entrusted his will to you, Clarande, you should tell us...
So... During the duel, did you believe that Callis was intending to die?
As a champion duelist, I've fought many battles and taken a countless number of dishonor in my line of work. I've seen all kinds of people give their all for the faintest hope. Just one look and I can tell if a duelist is hoping to live, or if they're looking. I hereby swear on my name and honor as a champion duelist that Mr.
Since that's your testimony, I have no more questions.
I concur. However, Miss Navia, you...
Right? What she said was fast.
Wait, weren't they just talking about this?
Of course, Your Honor. The two cases, in my father's case, the culprit and at the end of Linny's trial, the culprit also only dissolved the victim in front of The culprit could only...